Have you ever thought about what actually happens to your Capital One account if the unexpected happens? Well, if you don't have a beneficiary named, the state steps in and decides exactly where your money goes. And let me tell you, you do not want that. So today, in this explainer, we are going to fix it. We're going to walk through exactly how to add a beneficiary to your Capital One account step by step. Whether you just opened your very first savings account or you're fine-tuning a massive long-term strategy, we'll make sure your hard-earned money ends up exactly where you want it.
Okay, so this question might feel a bit heavy, I know, but it really forces us to face the reality of unprotected accounts, because if you don't make a plan, the state makes one for you. And trust me on this, the state's plan is rarely fast, and it is almost never cheap. Without a designated beneficiary, your cash generally has to go through the probate process. It's basically a giant bureaucratic maze. Think administrative delays, high legal fees, and your loved ones waiting months or honestly even years just to access those funds. But in stark contrast, a POD designation completely bypasses that whole court nightmare. It's like a VIP express lane for a seamless direct transfer. All right, here's our game plan for today's explainer. We'll quickly cover why you should name a beneficiary, the required info you'll need, a step-by-step setup guide, how to troubleshoot some tricky edge cases, the process for actually claiming the funds later, and finally, some important policies and disclaimers. Okay, let's jump straight into Section 1. Why name a beneficiary? Protecting your legacy. The crucial concept to grasp here is this specific terminology. Capital One uses what's called a POD structure, that stands for payable on death, for their personal deposit accounts. Now, what does this actually mean for you? It means you keep complete 100% control of your money while you're alive. Your beneficiaries have absolutely no access, no ownership rights, nothing until the passing of the last surviving account owner. So it's purely a forward-looking shield for your assets. And get this, here is a number that might actually surprise you: 10. Capital One generously allows you to designate up to 10 unique individuals as POD beneficiaries for every single eligible account. Seriously, 10. You aren't just limited to a spouse or a single child. You can actually build out a really comprehensive distribution list right there within your standard account. Moving right along to Section 2, gathering your required information. Basically what you need before you start clicking around.
So you'll need to gather this exact checklist of info for every single beneficiary you want to add. We need their full legal name, their date of birth, their tax identification number, so that's usually just a social security number or an ITIN, and their physical U.S. address. Now listen closely to this part. Federal anti-money laundering regulations strictly prohibit using P.O. boxes. It absolutely has to be a physical street address. Addresses in U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, those are perfectly fine. But again, absolutely no P.O. boxes.
All right, Section 3, step-by-step setup guide. Let's execute your plan. If you're sitting at a desktop computer right now, this is the exact 4-step path you're going to follow. It's super easy. First, sign into CapitalOne.com. Second, choose your specific account, like your 360 Performance Savings or a CD. Third, click on Account Services and Settings. And fourth, click Manage Beneficiaries. From there, the system will prompt you for the details we just gathered, and it's going to shoot a multi-factor authentication code to your phone just to make sure it's really you making the update. Now, if you prefer doing things on your phone, there's a slight catch. You have to use your mobile browser, not the app. The native Capital One app is amazing for checking your balance or depositing checks. But for core structural stuff like adding a beneficiary, you literally need to open Safari or Chrome on your phone, head to CapitalOne.com and sign in there. But once you're logged in, the flow is nearly identical. Select the account, tap More, and then tap Manage Beneficiaries.
This is great because you actually have 3 different ways to get this done. If you do it digitally online, it's instantaneous. If you walk into a branch and have an associate witness your signature with your photo ID, again, instant. But if you decide to mail or fax a paper form, you have to get it officially notarized, and that slows things down to about 10 to 14 days. Oh, and a quick pro tip for you based on the bank's protocols: Capital One cafes actually do not offer notary services. So if you want an employee to witness your paper form, you have to visit a traditional full-service branch.
Up next is Section 4, troubleshooting in edge cases. Let's navigate some exceptions. Sometimes you want to name something other than just a standard adult individual, right? Well, that's where you run into some strict structural rules. For example, you cannot just name a trust directly as a POD beneficiary on a standard personal account. It's simply not allowed. You'd actually have to convert the account entirely into a revocable living trust using a specific, notarized certificate of trust form. And what about kids? Well, you technically can name a minor, but think about it.
If you pass away, the bank can't legally just hand a massive check to a 7-year-old. So to avoid the court stepping in, you generally need to name an adult UTMA custodian to manage those funds until the child is legally an adult.
Here's a quick aside for those of you dealing with legacy Discover deposit accounts due to the corporate acquisition. Just a heads up, you have to use a completely separate phone-based administrative process for those. Your Capital One login is not going to automatically sync your POD rules over to those legacy Discover accounts just yet. Instead, you'll need to call their dedicated beneficiary care team directly.
Moving to Section 5, confirming and claiming funds. Let's look at following through.
Let's fast forward a bit. It is so absolutely vital to understand what your loved ones will actually have to do to claim these funds later. When the bank is notified of a passing, they immediately freeze the account to protect the money, so no debit cards, no online transfers. To unfreeze and release the funds, your heir has to call Bank Estate Operations to get a specific case number. Then, they'll need to submit a certified death certificate, their own valid government photo ID, and a formal letter of instruction.
Okay, pay close attention to this one. If you name multiple beneficiaries, Capital One's internal policy dictates that the total balance is divided completely 100% equally among them. There is no way around this. You can't give 50% to one kid and 25% to the other two. If you have 3 beneficiaries, it is strictly an equal third for everyone. This is a massive limitation you need to understand when you're mapping out your estate.
And another big thing to note, the bank does not do direct electronic transfers for deceased balances. Even if your beneficiary happens to have a Capital One account themselves, it doesn't matter. The Bank Estate Operations team is going to physically mail a paper check for the exact dollar amount to each surviving beneficiary. It's a bit old school, but that is exactly how they operate.
Finally, Section 6, important policies and disclaimers. Let's read the fine print.
So looking at the actual fine print on the POD beneficiary form, it says, Capital One will not assume and will have no responsibility or liability with respect to the legal or tax consequences of the designation. Basically, the bank is just acting as the delivery mechanism. They are not your estate planners. Now, while the principal amount transferred through a POD usually isn't subject to income tax for the beneficiary, it could still count toward your total estate for estate tax purposes. And any interest that accrues after you pass, that's taxable to your heir. Long story short, the bank executes the transfer, but the tax headache is between your heir and the IRS.
Because state laws and internal bank protocols are always shifting, you really shouldn't just set this and forget it. You should periodically review your setup with a qualified legal or tax advisor. Plus, life happens. Marriages, births, divorces, things change. It is just a fantastic habit to log in maybe once a year just to double-check that your listed beneficiaries are still exactly who you intend them to be. Which brings us to the ultimate question. Take 10 minutes today to ensure your financial legacy is exactly what you intend it to be. Log into your Capital One account, run through the steps we just covered, and lock in that absolute peace of mind. So, are your accounts protected for the future? Don't wait until it's too late to find out. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy planning.